Hey folks, today's podcast isn't the most exciting one ever, probably not even the most inspiring, but I think it might be the most important one we've ever done. As usual, we gave ourselves about an hour to prepare for it, which wasn't nearly enough. And afterwards, we were both kicking ourselves because we thought of a lot of names that should have been included in this podcast. And you'll see what I'm talking about later. But maybe you're one of those people. Maybe you should have been mentioned in this podcast. And for that, I really am sorry. If you are someone or know someone who ought to have an honorable mention, maybe you can get with me and we can really do as I talked about and start some sort of memorial for these people. If you want to get a hold of us, you can fill out the contact form on the website, a podcast about CatholicThings.com. Hey folks, welcome to a podcast about Catholic things. This is Eric, the ambassador of common sense, and I'm here with
Dan, the ambassador of nonsense. Welcome everyone.
And what a great day. I mean,
are we about to see some common sense out of the court?
It seems like it. But, you know, on the other hand, so, not that anyone doesn't already know, but supposedly a draft of the opinion has been, quote, leaked, and it's looking like this June, Roe v. Wade will be overturned.
Yeah, unless one of, because we know how Alito and Thomas would
right.
vote on an opinion like this. We know that Roberts, the traitor that he is, would turn against it, and we know, of course, the three liberal judges. Who is it? Sotomayor, Byers, and who's the other one?
I don't know.
Anyway, we know what they would do, but the Trump appointees, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and
Amy.
Comey Barrett. Well, each one of them ought to go along with what seems to be confirmed as Alito's opinion, the written opinion that was leaked.
Yeah.
Any one of them could flop, though. They haven't proven themselves. They haven't been tested in fire. We don't know how strong they are.
Yeah.
And we can't count that as money in the bank, so to speak, the way we can with Alito and Thomas, who we know are rock solid in their integrity as justices.
And, on top of all that, this is a serious matter. This is much more serious than slavery was right before the Civil War. I think it is anyway.
Yes.
There's a lot of money.
Without a doubt.
There's a lot of money going on here. And there's a lot of money that depends on this. And I don't see it out of the realm that one of these justices are assassinated.
Oh, they may be approached. Right. Some kind of payoff or whatever.
Or just killed. Why not?
Or killed. Right. Hire an assassin. Then it puts it at a tie until they're replaced.
Which they'll be replaced by Biden.
Right, but yeah, the one I was trying to think of is now. Wait a minute, who did Biden just replace?
I don't remember
because it's that black judge that he said, "Oh, we're going to appoint her because she's a woman and she's black."
Yeah.
And then in spite of I'm sure there are plenty of black qualified women. He picked. I guess the only qualification was that she has to be at least as cognizant as he is. Which isn't saying much these days for Biden. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I think a dolphin is as cognizant as Biden is these days. What was that? Was that a dolphin?
I thought Danny was marching into a monologue, so I thought, I can freshen my coffee real quick, which I should have done already.
Sorry.
So as I'm
you
leaving,
broke it up by doing a dolphin
I made
imitation.
a dolphin sound, because Here's the thing. This is dumb, but there's a SpongeBob episode where he learns a bad word, and every time he says the bad word, they do the dolphin sound. So he'd say, Mr. Krabs is a big smelly ee. And then...
Okay, I see.
So we've all been talking about this episode for the past 2 days in my house and doing dolphin sounds every time. And you mentioned Joe Biden being
the dolphin sound is
smarter
like the
than
bleep.
A dolphin. Yeah.
Okay.
It's also the one where SpongeBob says, escalator, escalator, escalator. Anyone who saw that would laugh. If you didn't see it, you would think it's dumb. So, whatever.
I've never seen an episode of SpongeBob. Sorry.
There's something wrong with you. You have kids that are my kids' ages.
I'm sorry.
Your kids were watching Big Bang Theory while mine were watching SpongeBob.
I don't think most of my kids watched Big Bang Theory.
Yes, they did.
And while your kids were watching SpongeBob, isn't that just a few years ago?
That's
The Big Bang Theory?
That was yesterday.
Yeah.
My kids always watch SpongeBob, even though they're in their 20s.
Oh, none of my kids watched Big Bang.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, they might have.
They have
I don't
Big
think there's
Bang
any of them
t-shirts.
that have seen the whole thing. Huh?
They have Big Bang t-shirts.
So what? That's because they're funny.
They're only funny if you've seen the show.
No, they're funny. I mean, there's like one or two episodes you can see to pick up on the character of the show that makes the t-shirts funny.
All right.
And maybe it's that way with SpongeBob, too. I don't know.
SpongeBob is funnier than Big Bang.
Okay, maybe it is. I have to admit that I cannot formulate a judgment about that because I've never seen SpongeBob.
I've seen both. SpongeBob is funnier than Big Bang. Mom hates both of them.
Both. I know.
Anyway, we're way off topic here. Biden is at least as smart as a dolphin and probably almost as smart as SpongeBob. Probably.
Okay, probably.
When he's with it, he has those.
He has his moments, yeah. He has a non-senior moment.
Yeah, and so then he's almost as smart as SpongeBob. He could probably cook a hamburger, but not much more. Anyway, He's picking our justices. So if one of our justices is assassinated, he's going to pick the whoever replaces him.
Yeah, and that's my point, is that when he picks a justice, I think his only criterion is that, other than being black and a woman, the justice has to be at least as smart as he is, which isn't saying a whole lot. Because we could have a Supreme Court filled with a bunch of SpongeBobs.
Well, I don't think that would be too bad. I would
think
go
that'd
for
be
that.
better than what we currently have.
I'm sure that SpongeBob is pro-life. Actually,
I don't
hear
know.
he's
Could
gay
be.
now. I don't. All the cartoon makers have gone full gay. So, even Blue's Clues has a a
partial
transvestite.
cartoon.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I know. That's awful.
Disgusting.
It's kind of gross.
I just download all the early versions of all these cartoons and keep them on my hard drive so that, if my grandkids come over or something, okay, here, you can watch this. I've got something clean to watch.
Yeah.
But, anyway, so this draft supposedly leaked out, but I don't think it did.
I think that's true, because I think the Supreme Court does try to keep a tight seal on its deliberations until it's time, because justices do change their minds. Now, the question is who leaked it and why, and I think I don't know. It could be that somebody who's like a liberal clerk or something leaked it, wanting to sort of fan the flames of protest in order to bring pressure on the three who have not been tested in fire. So that one of them make flip-flop.
Yeah, I could see that happening. But I don't know. I mean, we're really at the point we were last week. It's just now we've got this weird little glimmer of hope that makes you want to go, dance in the streets.
Yeah,
but it is hope.
It's hope, and it's the thing is, it's like, because I listened to a different podcast earlier today where somebody was reading some of the paragraphs as reported by Politico, which is the news rag or whatever, to whom I guess it was leaked. And I guess that they haven't published the whole thing. They've just published some of the paragraphs, maybe. Mm-hmm. But the paragraphs that are there, it's like this sort of realization that at least Justice Alito and certainly Clarence Thomas at least really get it.
They understand the idiocy of Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, and they're not just saying, and they're not beholden to some kind of weird, like the court tried to do, and make it sound reasonable in Casey, where they basically said, yeah, we probably got Roe wrong, but the more important thing is to preserve the appearance of nobility of the court by being consistent in our rulings and not overturning ourselves.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, talk about stupid. It's clear that Alito and Thomas do not share that view.
Yeah.
And so I think it's exciting. I mean, whether or not it ends up being the final real majority, whether a majority gets onto it, I think it's going to go out there as an opinion, even if only a minority sign onto it. It's scathing. So it'll be out there, and it'll be there for Americans to read.
Right. And okay. So if this goes down the way we want it to go down, I would say it's almost miraculous. I mean, look who's in control of the White House right now.
Right. You've got Biden in control of the White House. You've got a slim, but nonetheless, majority Democrat in control of both houses of Congress. And under that administration.
We got a really weak bunch of saps. The Republicans that are there, they're terrible. That's the only thing I could say about them. They're really bad people.
Yeah, to call the Democrat majority slim is not quite true, because so many of the Republicans in both houses are rhinos.
Yeah. Mike Dewine is running for governor in Ohio again.
Oh, my.
If he wins, that just kind of proves to me that this is fixed, because he's got to be the most hated man in Ohio.
You've got another guy who's running for governor, a real pro-life guy that's been racking up he's probably really pro-life. I haven't looked into him, but I've been getting text messages from his campaign office or whatever, showing how he's racking up the credentials with the various pro-life endorsements.
That's probably who I voted for. I don't know. I downloaded the Cincinnati Right to Life paper.
Oh, okay.
And just went in.
And just went in.
The only reason I voted at all is to get rid of Dewine.
But
I to be honest, I don't have a whole lot of trust in the vote itself.
In the system at all.
I don't know.
So we'll see. We'll see. I know that the power of incumbency is pretty strong in every election, even when the incumbent is a complete idiot.
Yeah, but this man is hated. Nobody likes him. The Democrats, he's a Democrat.
Obviously.
I mean, the Democrats don't like him because he's a Republican, and the Republicans hate him.
So if he ends up winning again,
that proves.
Or
to
if
me
he
that
ends
it's
up,
fixed.
even if he ends up getting the nomination,
if
he ends up just winning the primary,
yeah,
that'll be some kind of clue that something's shady in the polling.
Yeah, it was like Joe Biden winning the presidency. I mean,
yeah,
come on. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
But anyway, the fact that we're overrun with really bad people running almost everything in the country, and somehow we're able to get this overturned, to me, is a show of God's
really
power.
Is miraculous.
I mean, it's amazing to me, and it's one of those things that make you realize, it doesn't really matter how bad it seems. If God wants to change it, he can change it.
Yeah, but there could be I'm in my second time through the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And there was that king who was like one of the final kings of Judah, perhaps the final king of Judah, but he's the one who found the law. Who, his guys were working on restoring the temple. They found the law, and he restored the Mosaic practices. And because he did, and because he kind of like became, shocked, like, wow, look at all the stuff that we are supposed to be doing that we're not. Look at all the ways we're offending God that we should have been staying away from all this time. And so he repented of that and got the whole country to repent with them. Well, God didn't say, oh, great, now that you've repented, I'm going to preserve Judah against the kingdom of Judah against exile. Instead, he said, because you've repented, I'm going to delay the exile until you pass away so that you don't have to witness it.
Huh.
So there's a certain, it's like, okay, this would be great, and it would really like make it look like, okay, we're starting to turn things around. We've got this victory. There's a lot of work ahead of us, but it's always possible that it could be that kind of a situation for our country. There could be people alive today that God's saying, hey, I want to reward you with this little bit of, reprieve in your lifetime, but
forget
America's still headed, down the tubes.
It's been my opinion for the past year that if the Supreme Court does their job, America can be turned around. And if they don't do their job, America won't be turned around. But as you said, that's up to God, not us. Of course, if we're talking in strictly secular terms, if we can turn abortion around, we can turn the rest of this stuff around, like free market and general medical freedom, things like that. But I really do believe that America's future rests on God's goodwill.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's suppose, let's fantasize for a minute. Okay, June rolls around and the court votes exactly the way we hope, and the majority opinion comes out exactly the way it was leaked with, a few minor edits, whatever. And effectively, we are now in a post-Roe America.
Yeah.
Well, now what? Obviously, yes, celebrate in the streets and so forth. But I think that if something like that happens, it would have to be kind of as Catholics, we would have this sense. As Protestants, I don't know if they would get it or not, but it would be like, okay, what we have to do is get all of the churches to have a mass that is maybe two different masses, but I'm thinking a mass that is first a mass of thanksgiving for this victory.
Yeah. And
then at the very same time, a mass that is a petition for the willpower to keep going forward in the fight, because now all it did is change the character of the fight. Now the fight is local.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here.
Playing with your headphones?
No, I am looking for a quote.
Oh, okay. Well, while you're looking, I'll point out that there's a danger to be recognized too, because as the fight for abortion and for rights of the unborn turns local, a lot of people who have been fighting and have been working hard at the national level, obviously, a lot of them, their attentions are going to turn. The nature of the work is going to change, at least politically speaking. And because this is kind of like the weird fault of the Catholic system, at least as it is in the world today, because there is such a thing as a National Conference of Bishops, the USCCB. And so the American bishops, when it comes to politics, they only think nationally. They don't think locally, because all of their money as a group that they get from the government is national money, not state money, not local charities, not local governments. So government-wise, they only think national. So every bit of influence that they have is going to be at the national level, and their influence is always the wrong direction, in the liberal direction. And so there's a real possibility of losing the ground at the national level that we need to keep when the fight turns local, at least from the Catholic perspective.
In Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural address, he described the horror of the war and the fact that so many people died. And he also talked about how much wealth we accumulated on the backs of slaves.
Oh, right.
And he said, yet if God wills that it continue until all the wealth be... He's talking about the war that... The war scourge itself. Of war that seems to keep living on. He says, yet if God wills that it continue until all the wealth piled by the bondsman's 250 years of unrequited toil shall be sunk, and until every drop of blood drawn with the lash shall be paid by another drawn with the sword, as was said 3,000 years ago, so still it must be said, the judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether.
Yeah, wow.
What if
Powerful
we
words.
have to spill blood in payment for all the blood spilled in abortion mills?
It will swamp the wealth and the blood and the injustice that we would have owed reparations for from the days of slavery.
Yeah.
Our days of slavery would be a drop in the bucket if we were called as a nation to answer for the crimes of abortion.
Right. And so while I think that America, if we can get rid of Roe v. Wade and begin state by state to change them to the right, I think that's possible, and I think it'll happen, and I think it'll save America. But I don't think that we can leave this unpaid.
I think it'll lead to a civil war.
Yeah, me too. Or at least
Maybe
something close to it.
worse.
Something worse.
Yeah,
not quite. I don't know what it would be, but I think it'll be bad, and I think a lot of people are going to have to suffer, and I think rightly so.
Yeah,
but we still have to keep pushing in that direction, and as we do that, another thing that occurs to me is that I had been saying if Trump is able to overturn Roe v. Wade, I'm sorry, that would make him the greatest president yet.
Yeah.
And even though he only did one term,
United States.
Yeah, it looks like maybe he will have done that. We don't know yet.
Yeah, if this happens, it will be him who did it.
Yeah. We can't.
Who did it.
You got to give credit where credit's due. He did it. He said he was going to do it, and he did it.
Yep. And all you stupid never Trumpers out there, this is the legacy that you're opposing if this really happens.
Yeah. And but it look farther into the future as it could, because I think if the U.S. eventually criminalizes all abortion, I think that will happen in the rest of the world, or at least the civilized world.
The main parts of the world, yeah, like you said, the civilized world. And I think about the weakness that's brought to our country morally and in terms of God's protection through abortion, and how close we are to the edge in terms of, let's say, an inability to recover, say, economically from what is becoming more and more a deliberate assault by China.
Yeah.
Now, China is one of those that it will, it might be the very last bastion of abortion in the world in terms of developed or developing countries. Actually, I think many of the very, very underdeveloped third world countries probably don't have abortion. Even the ones that have cannibalism, they probably don't have abortion.
Yeah.
But the Romans had it effectively. They would, take babies and expose them in order to kill them if they didn't want them, stuff like that. But I think
thin line between infanticide and abortion. I mean, there is no line, but for a long time it was okay. So it's either right before they're born or right after they're born.
Yeah, it's like they didn't know how to cause an abortion early on, but it's like, okay, have the baby. We don't want the baby. Throw the baby out.
Yeah. Well, if that were to occur, you can imagine 100 years from now, people talk about abortion the way we talk about slavery and the horrors of it, and the heroes in the movement that kept moving forward despite being fought by most of popular culture. For example, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is going to be a name everybody knows. And even when people try to fight this, they can't fight the fact that he did this. It's his victory, and we got to give him credit for that. But what kind of occurred to me today is that, we did a podcast like a month ago. It was in response to what's his name? Timothy Gordon.
Timothy Gordon
had mentioned something about the pro-life movement in general and how it is, and we had pointed out that, hey, there's a lot of the pro-life movement you apparently aren't even aware of. And I think that's still true. I think he's not aware of it, and I think most people aren't. And I think that it's the prayers and sacrifices of these people that actually won the fight. If we win. Again, we're talking about people who go to the abortion mills every week, sometimes every day, to do things like, obviously protest, but a lot of times what they do is say the rosary in front of the abortion clinics and or talk to women and try to hook them as they're walking into the clinics in order to change their minds. Sidewalk counseling, they'll call it. Back in the days we had the sit-ins, but those
that was kind of a flash pan.
That was
phenomenon.
Fun, but didn't last. But
right,
the real work came later with people who you're never going to hear about. They're never going to be a part of the story. But I think these are people whose names don't even get mentioned at March to Life rallies and stuff like that. And that's the thing. All across America, people think they're part of the pro-life movement because they did a 10-hour stint in the 40 Days for Life, or they went to, Washington in January for the March for Life, when that was, let's face it, more of a vacation than the work of saving babies.
Yeah. Not a lot of personal cost there. Even those who donated money, not to undercut or understate the importance of that, but that didn't involve the kind of personal dedication that these people who are out on the street in front of the abortion mills week after week, or sometimes day after day, doing what they do.
Yeah. Sorry. And so I thought it fitting because it looks like, right now, it looks to us like the tide has turned. Like, we're about to win. And I thought, some of these names, and it's not an exhaustive list, but it's people here in Cincinnati who have been doing things, and these aren't even the kinds of people you would see at, because they have, like, a lot of, like, Pregnancy Problem Center. They'll have these big expensive dinners, which are just fundraisers, and, people get up and speak. These aren't even the kinds of people who get up there to speak, Yeah. They're not known even in the even in, say, the Right to Life community in a city. They're not even known to them usually, except by, I know this guy, I don't let him speak or anything because he's kind of, he's too pro-life. And so, I don't know. I just thought we'd go through some of these names. And
Let's
half these guys are dead.
I gotta think every city has their names that are like this, but we know the Cincinnati ones because that's where we grew up, and a lot of these are names that we knew as kids.
Right. And I think it'd be great if we had some way to dedicate something.
I don't know, some kind of memorial or something.
Yeah, they've got the memorial where the Vietnam veterans, you can go and look at all the names. Yeah, there's a billion names there, but they all did their part, and they all did something there. And these people, a lot of them have died in the pro-life movement. And it cost, some of these people, it cost them everything. For example, Bob Cetrillos. I can't remember when he died. It wasn't long ago. It was a couple years ago. He was founder and president of the Board of Helpers of God's Precious Infants. And he was the president of the Northern Kentucky Right to Life.
Right. Which I don't know if you remember, but growing up, our mother would always point out how the Right to Life organization almost had a weird symbiotic relationship with abortion. They seemed more interested in being able to fundraise. I mean, they came out with their voting guides and everything, which were truly pro-life, but they seemed more interested in fundraising than in stopping abortions. Northern Kentucky Right to Life had the reputation of not being like that.
Right. And he would go head to head with bishops, priests, politicians, anyone. And I got to say, he was good too. He wasn't like a Joe Martin. He wasn't a crazy guy. I can't remember. I think I was a new father, and I was trying to find something for the kids to watch. This is before I don't think we had a VCR, but we didn't have any tapes really. So I'm flipping around and I land on PBS, and I see this guy at a table, and I'm like, man, that guy looks like Bob Citrillo. This was an argument about letting high school girls be prescribed birth control without their parents' consent.
Their parents, yeah.
And take the birth control in high school when kids aren't even allowed to take aspirin in high school.
Get their ears pierced without parental consent.
Yeah. And I mean, seriously, if a person's caught with aspirin, they get sent for drugs. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
The rules about aspirin or ibuprofen. And these girls are being told to take birth control, often by school counselors and stuff. Man, it was him against like three other people.
Everybody else? Yeah.
Yeah. He creamed them. Every time they had something to say, he had not just a good retort, but proof of it. He could quote. He was good. But apparently he was not well liked. And
yeah, it's because he's uncompromising.
Yeah. And I think even like members of his own family kind of dissed him, and I guess he died kind of alone.
Oh my.
It's sad. But
yeah, that is sad.
He really was a great man. Deacon David Shaffer. I don't know him.
Gosh, the name sounds so familiar.
He's one of the co-founders for the Helpers. The Helpers, when we say the Helpers, this is a weekly mass that happens in the vicinity. They'll go to a Catholic church close to an abortion mill, and they'll start with, say, a mass, and then walk down to the abortion mill, say the rosary, come back for benediction, and then go home. So, it's short, it's sweet, but it's my understanding that it has closed down hundreds of abortion mills all across America.
Think about, the most powerful ally against abortion is God, and all he's doing is waiting for us to humbly ask him to help.
Yeah.
And these people are doing this.
Right. Every Saturday morning, getting up early, going out there, say a rosary, go home. They did it week after week after week. David Shaffer was one of the founders, co-founder, and the spiritual director for the board. He also did a lot of
Helpers.
sidewalk counseling for several decades. Coach Rich Angelina. I don't know why is he a coach? Do you know him?
I do not know him.
Okay.
You know what? But I'm going to look him up.
He died recently. He's the founder of the Life's Fifth Quarter, dedicated to bring young people to Mass and Vigil on the fifth Saturday of the month. I don't know about the Mass and the Vigil on the fifth Saturday of the month. Is that something like five Saturdays or?
I think so.
But he was big on getting young people to Mass
for like fifth Saturdays a month.
And he also went to the Helper's Mass every week until he was in hospice. Nick, you still looking at him?
I'm reading his obituary at T.P. White and Sons Funeral Home. Sounds like his family did not put very much about his work.
It's a shame
in the pro-life. I mean, he's basically he's our dad. He'll be badly missed. Has lots of relatives. He was a teacher.
When we talk about these sidewalk counselors, I mean, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but there are many women out there who were convinced at the last second not to kill their babies. This happened. It wasn't just some guy yelling at women, calling them, murderer. No. These were people who changed the minds of these women and brought them to Christ. Nick Gallo.
Yeah, that's a name I've heard.
Yeah, he's another founder of the Helpers Mass. I'm saying the Helpers, the chapter here in Cincinnati. He's done sidewalk counseling, did a lot of pregnancy center work. He's still going. He's been working at it for over 80 years. Yep.
Working what?
He's been working at it for over 80 years. Oh, he's over 80 years old and still working at it.
Still working at it, yeah.
He's not been working at it for 80 years because that would be weird.
Right, that would be because it's only been happening for 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so go back to Rich Angelina. He was the football coach at Covington Catholic. And so his life's fifth quarter was like a fifth Saturday or fifth Sunday, whatever sort of mass program, but it was youth focused. That was his thing. He was getting youth involved in the pro-life focus, especially in a prayerful way. So they would go to a church that was close to, like Holy Name Church in Mount Auburn, which was close to the Sanger clinic there, and have his mass and I don't know what else he did beyond that, but there's a little write-up about him in the Catholic Telegraph that I found.
Okay. It's hard getting youth to care about Mass at all, especially if their parents aren't really on board helping you in the background, It's difficult to get teenagers interested in the Mass. It just is. I've been trying, and I know. Let's see, Paul Kleemeyer? No. Kleemeyer. Paul Kleemeyer.
Yep.
Okay. President and founder of the Helpers. Or president and co-founder of the Helpers. Yeah. I guess a bunch of them just got together and did this.
I think so.
Apparently he gave Mom a car once.
I'm trying to remember which car that was.
I don't, but it's one of those things that, like, he's just one of those people who sees something that needs to be done and tries to do it. If he thinks he can, he does it, Terry Huell. You remember her daughter.
I know Terry Huell, and I can picture her real well. I know Ann Huell, too, her daughter.
Yeah.
From what I understand, Ann Huell was one of those very quiet but very mischievous girls.
I never heard her say more than 3 words our entire lives. But they did do things like put mustard in my pocket, and
she would get Ginger to go along with stuff.
Yeah,
Ginger's
they do
our
all
sister.
kinds of terrible things. Yeah. She's always attended the Helpers Masses. She's foundress and the head of the Old St. Mary's Pregnancy Center. I didn't know that.
Oh.
So
So
I guess there's a pregnancy center down by Old St. Mary's.
I didn't realize that. I never even knew that. I mean, I knew about the pregnancy center.
I didn't know there was one there.
By what's her name up on at Proust's Corner or whatever. Proust or Proust's Corner, whatever. But
the Price Hill one.
Yeah,
I've been there.
You've been there
to fix machines.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
but if Terry Huell ever needed me to fix her copier, I would do it for free.
Yeah,
as I did with the other pregnancy center. Ray Lebker. You remember him? He was
remember
one
Ray
of the
Lebker.
people from the start, back when we were getting arrested and stuff.
Yeah.
He's a longtime sidewalk counselor.
I knew he was a big sidewalk counselor.
He's one of those people who are really good at approaching people and trying to get them involved with Christ and trying to spread the word of Christ. His wife, what's his wife's name? She's into it too.
I know. I'm thinking of because I actually knew his wife's name better than his, and I'm trying to think of what her name was now.
That stinks.
Shoot, it wasn't Bonnie.
No, Bonnie.
No, not Bonnie Lebker.
Nobody's ever named Bonnie.
Yeah, I knew somebody named Bonnie. Actually, I knew two.
We had a goat named Bonnie.
We had a goat named Bonnie too. Okay, if you count goats, I knew
Bonnie.
3 Bonnies.
I keep wanting to say Linda.
No. It wasn't Linda. Shoot, I can't think of it.
We'll come back to it. Patrick and what does that say? Eamon Garrity?
Garrity? I don't know them. Servers for the Helpers Mass.
Oh, okay. So they do
they're younger
servers.
Ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
they
now in
go in there
college.
every week and to serve for the Helpers Mass. Again, Saturday mornings, you were out late Friday night and it's hard getting up. We did it for a couple weeks here. I had a hard time convincing. I think I could probably reconvince them, but we switched doing something else instead of going to the Helpers Mass. But,
yeah.
But it's difficult,
Mm-hmm.
Every week, getting up, doing that, especially when it's in the middle of Cincinnati. Nobody wants to go to Cincinnati.
Gosh,
if you live on it's just a terrible place anymore. The city, I mean.
Yeah, it's kind of messy and ugly.
Okay, I don't know how to say this name. Brother Joe. I know him as Brother Joe. But Choquette? Chalk?
Yeah. I'm in the same boat.
We knew him as
Brother Joe. That's
Joe.
what he was to us. Yeah.
He was very soft-spoken. He would gather people to try to get the rosary going every Saturday down at the picket line,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, if more people than normal showed up, he would thank everyone for coming and then start crying.
Yep, I remember.
He cried a lot.
He did a lot of that. Mm-hmm.
And he died, and then it wasn't long after. It was real close to after his death. The Helpers Mass finally started in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a thing to behold because it filled up the whole church.
Yeah.
And he would cry if 10 people showed up. And here the entire church was full. So full that they had to have 3 separate rosary lines,
mm-hmm.
so that because we didn't have any.
Yeah, you'd get off sync and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd have to let the one go and get gone before you started the next one.
It was a shame he couldn't witness that, but he was there every week to say his rosaries, to try
mm-hmm.
to do sidewalk
he always
counseling.
carried his staff, and so when you gathered around to say his rosary, to say the rosary with them, and then he'd take his staff and he'd kind of shake it at you when you were the one supposed to lead.
Yeah,
he'd pick someone to lead and kind of not point, but kind of move his staff towards you. And
right.
I was always afraid he would move it towards me.
Don't pick me.
And I wouldn't remember the mystery.
Yeah. The third glorious mystery is, I knew this. I knew it 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
So you go through, you're at the second glorious mystery. The whole time during the movie, you're going, the third glorious mystery is the descent of the Holy Spirit. Descent of the Holy Spirit. And then when they call on you, you forget. It stinks. Or you say the Hail Mary. You say the Holy Mary instead of Hail Mary. Mm-hmm. All these little things that you do when you lead the rosary the first couple times. It's embarrassing, but oh well.
Well, anyway.
As he was dying, he refused pain medication. He wanted to offer up his pain for the conversion of the death scorts and the abortionists. Death scorts were people who, when the people at Planned Parenthood saw you coming to get an abortion, they knew that the sidewalk counselors were going to try to grab you. Not grab you, but try to talk you out of it.
Talk to you, yeah.
So they would run up and shield the pregnant women from us terrible Christians who were trying to convert them.
It was weird. I mean, if you have you ever seen Alien?
The Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know how like the alien had that weird like mouth inside the mouth that would shoot out and like If you picture that and these death scorts running out surrounding a woman who is coming in, might or might not be there for an abortion. I could never tell. Other sidewalk counselors said they could tell. But they would like run out and grab them and shuffle them in real quick. The image of this inner mouth of alien is not too far off the mark.
Yeah.
For these death scorts.
Yeah. They didn't want them to hear the words of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And that's mostly what it was. It was, hey, you've still got a chance. Don't do this. Jesus Christ loves you. He loves your baby. Mm-hmm. Those were the kinds of messages. I've heard it. I know everybody, you call women murderers and sluts, and I'm sorry.
No, it was, you don't
that
have to do
just
this.
Didn't happen.
You have options. We will
help you. Yeah.
That was the message that these death scorts did not want women to hear. And yes, these death scorts, we have to say, like everyone else who's embedded in sin, God wants their salvation. So Brother Joe keenly felt that.
Yeah, and he would talk to the death scorts a lot.
Mm-hmm. I did too, but not nicely like he did. I was.
Yeah.
My talk was shameful, I will admit.
Yeah. I was, during those years on the picket line, I was still a kid,
Yeah, basically, that's what I mean.
So, and finally, Brother Joe's opposite, Joe Martin.
Oh. Yeah.
He was the crazy one. He was funny.
But he was so committed.
Yeah. And he was a dirty guy. I know we've talked about him before.
Socially repugnant. He considered himself a clown for Christ, and so he did not want to. He had this idea in his head that he did not want people to like him for what they saw when they looked at him.
Yeah. He was. I remember giving him a ride to some kind of, like they would have these big, before the days that pregnancy centers took over and Right to Life took over, the movement was run by Protestants, and it wasn't as posh. It wasn't hoity-toity the way it is now.
Yeah.
You didn't have to have $5,000 donation in order to get in. And so we would go to some of these, but often Joe Martin wasn't invited, or maybe maybe he was invited, maybe he didn't. But this one he was going to, and we were going, the whole family was going, and we were giving Joe Martin a ride. And I'm sitting behind him. My dad would have a van, and he would keep the one bench right behind the driver's seat, and then he would take the rest of them out so he could put tools and parts in there.
He put cabinets in the van to store tools and that kind of. It was like a mobile workshop.
So if we all went somewhere, most of us had to sit on the floor of the van. Whoever got to the van first got driver shotgun, but since it was a guest, Joe Martin was obviously going to get shotgun. But I was first, which meant I got to sit on the bench behind the driver's seat. So I'm sitting there, diagonal from Joe Martin, looking at him. The lice in his hair are so big. I'm watching them crawl around in his hair. It was nasty.
Yeah.
But
well, good thing Mom wasn't sitting there next to you.
Yeah. She didn't even get in the car with him. But look, he did weird things. Like he would get painting jobs, and he would find guys living on the street and hire them to help him with the painting jobs. A lot of times, giving them a home to live in and a bed to sleep in while they're doing it. He was big on helping the poor, and he was big on, despite his charisma, he wasn't violent. He was just loud.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a picture of them trying to arrest him. I think it's even on video. It took like 10 cops to bring him down because he just wasn't going to jail. He didn't feel like he needed to go to jail. He wasn't punching anyone.
No. But didn't he crawl under a car or something?
Yeah, he crawled under the bus.
Oh, the bus. Yeah, the Ark. Yeah, our dad's bus.
Our dad had an Ark which he'd take down there to so that during the winter people could come on and get coffee and donuts and warm up, between
and
protesting.
Dad's policy was anybody was allowed on board. The death scores could come get coffee and donuts if they wanted to.
Yeah, he'd invite them too.
He would walk over to, hey, there's coffee and donuts over there if you want.
A lot of times the people in the neighborhood passing by would get on and talk to him. I don't know what happened there. I just know that it happened.
Yeah, but he had signs. He had the posters in the bus.
Yeah, he had the kinds of pictures that people don't really show anymore.
Right.
The dead babies. That's what he would show people. But Joe Martin was, he had grabbed the bus, and it took a bunch of them trying to pull him off this bus so they could arrest him. It was funny. He was great. So a couple other mentions. Obviously, May Braden and Joanne Engel, our mom and our grandma, they've been in it since the start. I was 12 years old at least. It was probably before that, but it became a big part of our lives when I was 12.
Yeah.
And anything they could do to help the movement in any way, shape, or form, our parents always did it. And May Braden, our grandma, also would be a part of that. They've been to jail quite a few times. Yeah, they were.
There was some center. I don't know if it was the one in Cincinnati because they had that iron fence outside, and or if it was some other one in another city that they had traveled to. But there was like the crowd, sort of, and they got unruly at these kinds of things back in that day.
Yeah.
And so there was a group of people that had decided to kind of try to rush the clinic. And I think like on film or something, they had captured like grandma, like sort of climbing the crowd up towards the top of the fence.
Yeah. I saw that.
I remember at a family gathering that we had that was kind of like a roast for grandma. And somebody coming on and mentioning that she was tapped for Barcelona. Barcelona was where they had the Olympics like the next year or something like that.
Now, apparently there was a Wednesday sidewalk counseling thing that they did. Our grandma May Braden, Sylvia Brose, and Pat Malik all did that. Father Al Lauer. All I remember about him is that he wouldn't do the Tridentine Mass.
He never would do the Tridentine Mass. I don't know why.
And that's why I wouldn't even think of...
He married Uncle Tom and Aunt
He
Janine.
married you?
No, he did not marry me. Father Dorman Byers married me.
Did he
did not do
baptize
the Tridentine.
Terry?
Yes, Terry was already baptized, but he confirmed.
Oh, okay. Well, I never knew him. But he was instrumental in the founding of the pregnancy center at Old St. Mary's. Mm-hmm. The one we mentioned earlier with Terry.
I think he kind of took over Old St. Mary's after Father Byers left.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was the one, he married Uncle Tom and Aunt Janine. And he was the one that what strikes me about that is that in all of the various kind of wedding planning things, and of course the bride, it's her day and everything, he kept bringing them back to this involves you, but you have to remember it's about Christ. And that, even the wedding, you think about how much a wedding is about, and you're looking forward to it, and the whole thing, it's about the entire future of your life together. But he kept wanting to bring them back. It's about Christ.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember about Father Lauer.
There are quite a few attorneys who did a lot to help the pro-lifers. Because, again, at first, I mean, when the pro-life movements kicked off, it was nonstop jail. I mean, people go to jail every
people
week.
People needed an attorney to stand with them, to make their plea in front of a judge, whatever.
So James Condit Sr., or as we know him as Mr. Condit, and his son Tom,
right,
who's now Mr. Condit. Bob Citrillo. I didn't know Bob Citrillo was a lawyer.
I didn't either.
I had no idea. It's listed here that he is, but I don't. Yeah. I think maybe there might be a mistake. I don't know.
I don't think that's a mistake.
But again, he's gone from us. Fred Sum, or is that Sumi? Suma.
I don't recognize that name.
I don't know either. John Scanlan, who's now dead.
I recognize that name.
I remember that name. Yep. And Robert Rinier, who is also gone.
Oh, okay. I don't remember Robert Rinier either.
And I think that's about all the ones that I can remember. I had my mom remind me of some of these. That's why I'm saying people that I don't remember. Because my mom's been in it so long that she knows most of the names. Again, most of these names are people that even the Cincinnati organizers would not recognize. But I think these names have got to be said somewhere.
Yeah. These are the people, and people like them probably in other cities throughout the country. These are the people that are putting their lives out there and going to God and saying, "Hey, God, help me make this right."
This is the blood.
This is what
of the pro-life community. Yeah.
This is what is going to turn our country if it turns. I mean, none of these people have appeared before any of the Supreme Court justices, but this is the work. These are the people that are calling God to our side and saying, "Hey, God, you know that we can be great. You know that we can honor you. Help us push the scourge out of our country."
And
then making themselves instruments of God.
Yeah. I might try to organize some kind of system where people in different cities can tell us about these kinds of people in their cities. In Indianapolis, I pass, there's a Planned Parenthood there that I pass, I don't know, once a month. No matter what day it is, I see people out there, sidewalk counselors and protesters. So I know this happens in every city across America. And it would be good to have somewhere where these kinds of people can be seen, listed.
Here's the problem. You know that none of these people would ever put their hand up for acknowledgement.
No, they wouldn't. That's why...
How do you get someone to give you their name? You gotta...
That's why people like us come along. And
you gotta get into the pro-life, sort of scene in that city to get someone to say, "Hey, here's the people that are really driving this for us."
Yeah.
Like Mom did for these people.
Right.
And of course, Mom deserves to be on the list, but she would never put her name on.
Right. Well, we put her name on because
obviously.
But I know. It's, I don't know what to say about that. When they read history about the pro-life movement, these are the names you'll never hear about. And they deserve to be heard about.
It's kind of like all the people that ran the Underground Railroad.
Right.
Pre-Civil War.
Yeah, who saved slaves from being recaptured.
And
These
how many
people
of those
saved
people
babies.
putting their lives on the line, you'll never hear about. You'll never know their names.
Right. Well, at least we'll know them in heaven, but right now we can do the little bit that we can in the tiny podcast that we have that a few people will hear and maybe know their names. And this is going against every bone in my body because I hate it when people tell me names of people that I don't know. I'm like, why are you talking about? I don't know this person. I don't care about this person. But
in this case, we care.
Yeah. Yeah.
This matters a lot.
Yeah. I think this is historical, and these are the people who changed the history, in my opinion, just as much as people like Donald Trump and whoever it is going up against the in the Supreme Court right now.
Yeah.
So those are all the names I got.
All right. Well, let's. I mean, some of them are deceased. We can pray for them. Someday, maybe we'll be praying to them. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that we tried to, when Brother Joe died, we asked if we could have a piece of him.
We did. What's her?
I guess actually, we got hair or something.
What was her name? Shirley something or other.
A relic.
Because Mom said, I wish we could get a relic. And she even had like a little scissors. And Shirley, what's her name?
That's right. She got some hair.
She went and just snipped her hair. She said, I'll get it. Took the scissors out, one, put it in an envelope, and gave it to Mom. Now, I've been praying to Brother Joe for a special intention that I have.
I have not been praying to him.
I don't know what the formula. I know that holy people like that develop devotions before they're canonized. In fact, having those devotions is a necessary part of the whole process. But I don't know what you're supposed to do. You know, do you just sort of pray to them and ask your petition and then maybe say an Our Father, Hail Mary, and Glory be in their honor, or what? So I'm just kind of muddling through it on my own.
Maybe we could write a prayer.
Yeah, but anyway, that's. I think several of these people may end up being on the list of people that we'll be praying to at some point.
Yeah. All right then. We gonna talk about news?
Yeah. Let's talk about news.
All right. So, wait a minute. I want to talk about one more thing, though. I guess it's kind of news. But,
okay.
We've been kind of scratching our heads at this consecration to Russia. Mm-hmm. Because it's just not the kind of thing that Pope Francis would do.
Right.
And then later we find out maybe why he did it. With this changing of the Vatican rules and how it's run... reorganization of things.
Okay, wait a minute.
Timothy Gordon did a little bit of a show about it.
I've heard about... Okay, I know about the changing of the rules. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, he did it in order to
at least not be talked about.
Right, in terms of the media. Okay, let me give a big story in order to hide the real story, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
I didn't know about it. Except my son had asked me about it, like, that week. I didn't know what he was talking... I thought he was confusing something. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I kind of just put it off. Apparently, it's actually your son who had found it and pointed it out to Buddy. And Buddy tried to explain it to me, but I wasn't really paying attention much. And so Pope Francis had made some big changes at the Vatican and the way things are run, and with his left hand and with his right hand, he's consecrating Russia.
Yeah.
I believe that he doesn't at all believe that consecrating Russia will do anything, but he still consecrated Russia.
Yeah, in that sense, the joke's on him a little bit.
I think it is. And I look at all these, because the way we've been looking at America, there's no way out of this. Mm-hmm. Things can't get worse than this. And then all of a sudden, God springs this on us, overturning Roe v. Wade. I think that can happen in the Vatican too, because things look so bad right now most of our bishops are gay. A lot of them are evil, and a lot of them serve Satan whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's no way out of this because they're going to be the ones who elect the next pope. But I have to wonder, what would happen if the Russian Orthodox Church united with Rome?
Oh,
what would that
be
look
a
like?
sudden influx of bishops, and some of them, as part of the bid of unity, the agreement of unity, or whatever, some of them would have to be made cardinals.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be interesting. Wow. Yeah, that would be really interesting. And, I mean, I know the Russian Orthodox Church, as a church, they have their own problems with corruption and that kind of stuff internally. But so does our church. That's not, it's not like,
that's every church.
It's not like we're sitting here pure and pretty and looking at them and, oh, yeah, you're too dirty, you can't become part of us. All it takes is willingness to agree to the ultimate authority of the Pope.
The Orthodox churches are attracting people who are fed up with the Catholic
with the
bishops.
Pope, basically, yeah,
with
and,
the Pope
and the Catholic bishops, yeah.
So, I mean, something there is attractive to them. I don't know. That's a whole other discussion. It just occurred to me. Maybe the joke's on Pope Francis. Maybe he has no idea what he just did. And maybe the church, the face of the church, is going to change a lot in the next 20 years.
Well, there's a lot of speculation about his health, too. So whatever happens in the next 20 years, I think most people agree is going to be under a different pope than Pope Francis.
Right.
Of course, maybe multiple popes. I remember when John Paul II died, I went and did a quick kind of survey of the average length of time that popes reign as pope, from the time they become pope to the time they die. And Pope John Paul II was like really extraordinarily long, historically speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, he was really young when he got elected. And yeah, he was pope for a long time. And he held on to the very end there.
Yeah, he didn't cop out like Benedict did.
Benedict. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
See what happens.
It's just It's just speculation. Speaking of Russia, though, all right, the war rages on. We really have no idea what's going on. The United Kingdom's Armed Forces Secretary says that Ukraine can strike targets inside Russia with British weapons, saying that's completely legitimate in order to disrupt the attacks on Ukraine, which I would imagine is. I mean, if you're fighting a defensive war, you
still can
not
attack
that big a
into
deal.
The attacking country.
But when they're using British weapons, then it's like, okay, you guys are fighting a proxy war here, which I think the whole world is.
I don't know. I mean, okay, so Britain sends weapons to Ukraine. So here, okay, you got to defend yourselves, so we'll give you weapons. And then how do you enforce restrictions on the use of those weapons? You're going to take them back?
You don't. You're
going to fire on Ukraine for misusing your weapons if you think you misused them? That's stupid.
Right.
If you're going to give weapons to somebody, you hand them over and say, here, we believe your cause is just. Use these according to your judgment. To put any restriction beyond that is just plain stupid anyway.
It is. It's more of the weird talk that we see coming out of this whole thing, that because the Russian Defense Ministry accuses the UK of provoking Ukraine into attacking Russian territory and warns of a proportional response should any attacks occur.
So it's like, hey, wait a minute, that was a UK bomb or a missile or whatever that hit this military base inside of Russian territory. Now we'll bomb Russia.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, I doubt Russia would do that. But that could cause this to become a World War III.
I mean, that's what Russia is insinuating, that it can strike military targets inside the territory of NATO countries who are supplying weapons to Ukraine.
Yeah, Ukraine.
And that would include America.
And, yeah, I that's one that we should just stay away from.
Yep.
It's not like Ukraine is some, pristine bastion of Western justice or goodness.
Yeah. I don't think we should be anywhere near it. Russia says that it has struck 59 Ukrainian weapons facilities, including some that stored weapons from the United States and Europe.
Okay.
Who's this? Gazprom, Gazprom.
All right.
Announces that it has completely suspended gas. Oh, okay. This is the gas company from Russia.
Oh.
Says that it suspended gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria
because they're not support for Ukraine.
No, because they're not paying in rubles.
Oh, okay. Which, if they don't pay in rubles, then Russia has to go through the banks in order to get them converted, and the banks are cutting Russia out.
Right. So, again, we're trying to isolate Russia.
We're going to end up making Russia stronger, control. Guys.
Yeah, we're not isolating them. We're strengthening them. We're giving them independence.
Yeah,
that's the wrong way to do this, I think. American Marine Trevor Reed and Russian pilot, I'm not even going to try to say his name, are freed in a prisoner exchange between Russia and the United States. This is from the AP, Associated Press. But they don't really tell us much more about these guys, how they got captured, how Russia has one of our prisoners.
I'm going to try to read this Russian name.
We have one.
Because I learned a little bit of Russian when I went over there.
Yeah. Okay, you got it?
I've got the Trevor Reed thing.
Konstantin.
I can't find the name.
Marine
this is
Trevor
stupid
Reed.
How, these news sites will not give you the basic information up front. Okay, this is going to speak badly of me, because I know I should have been aware of it up front, but when we were going to do this podcast, I thought, okay, we're going to talk about the leaked majority opinion in the which case that might overturn Roe.
Yeah.
So overturn Roe, and it's like all these news articles, and I thought the case name, the current case name, Dobbs v. something or other, would be right in the part of the blurb that shows up in the Google search. It doesn't. So I clicked on the Reuters, and the whole article, it never mentioned the actual case at hand. I tell you, news agencies have gotten so bad at reporting news.
That basically they're reporting their opinion about the news, but not really reporting the news itself. I just sent you an email with his name, or with a link to
Okay, so I've got Yaroshenko.
the AP story.
I don't see his first name, though.
It's our...
Yaroshenko, maybe that is his first name.
Konstantin. No, it's Konstantin.
Konstantin Yaroshenko, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's not a real hard Russian name.
Wait a minute. How is this okay, he was in 20-year federal prison for smuggling cocaine into the U.S. Why was Trevor Reed...
Why was Trevor Reed arrested in Russia?
Yeah,
because this isn't a soldier exchange. This is just a prisoner exchange that might or might not have anything to do. I mean,
9 years for an altercation in Moscow where he was studying Russian, visiting his girlfriend. He allegedly assaulted police officers who were driving him to a police station after picking him up following a night of heavy drinking at a party. So he's just a ruffian.
He's a ruffian. And he swung at some police officers and got arrested. And and we exchanged for him?
That's dumb.
I mean, gosh, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's like the Obama exchange. The Obama was real bad about that.
Yeah, I think stepped away from the mic. I think there's more to this than we're being told.
You know, that looks...
This is BS.
That seems
This is
possible.
dumb. That's not... This... No. He's been detained and convicted on evidence that is laughable? Like what? A cop saying he hit me? What kind of laughable evidence would that be in America? I don't know. The whole thing. There's something more to
Something's
this.
going on, yeah.
They're lying. Okay. Well, I didn't even mean to get into all that. I was just saying
just
that
part of the news.
We got a prisoner exchange. Yeah. Okay.
And then I wanted to say the name.
So I'm getting away from Russia here.
Okay.
20 Islamic worshippers are killed during riots in Gondar, Ethiopia.
Okay.
So notice how they say 20
Islamic worshippers.
Why?
Killed,
I mean,
does it say by whom? Who they were killed by?
Not the story, but I've lost my link.
Oh.
How can I find it again? Here, let me try this. Oh, there's a whole bunch. Let me look up Ethiopia. Okay, this is in Reuters. Clashes in Ethiopia killed 20 Muslim worshippers.
Oh, clashes.
Yeah, so it's not...
It's not like they were in a mosque worshiping
Armed
and somebody
men.
bombed the mosque.
Yeah,
They probably provoked. They probably
clashes with
attacked.
unidentified armed men. Violence was unrelated to a conflict in the neighboring Tigray region.
So
Well, then why are they mentioning
sounds
it?
like the Muslims picked a
Sounds
fight,
like there's a fight here, yeah.
and
got
whoever they
killed.
attacked fought back and killed them.
That's what it seems like.
That's what it sounds
But notice
like.
how they list it.
Yeah.
Muslim worshippers, Islam worshippers are killed. Give me a break. I hate the way they do this.
Oh, man.
This is the second time that we look a little bit further into a story and it's like, well, that's not...
Yeah.
Wait till you hear one coming up. Central African Republic adopts Bitcoin as legal tender.
Central African Republic as
I don't even know where...
as the only
Where's
legal
the
tender, or just like they say, okay, it's all right
adopts
if you
it
want to
as
trade
legal
Bitcoin.
tender.
If you want to, actually, legal tender that actually has real implications, because that means that at whatever the given exchange rate is for, like, say the normative tender in that country, let's say you have a debt and you say, I'm going to pay you back in Bitcoin. Well, that means the debtor has to accept that, or the creditor has to accept that.
You know what else it means? It makes it easier for people who are using Bitcoin
For
in
sex trade,
illegal trade.
That's right.
Can eventually turn it into dollars.
That makes this country a financial stopping point for sex trade money.
Right. Yeah, that's actually a really big deal.
Yeah. This. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
People should pay attention to that one. People
Yeah.
who have the ability to I don't know, monitor things like that.
yeah. The Metropolitan Water District of Southern California declares a water shortage emergency. This is LA. Requires agencies to enforce restrictions on non-essential water usage. This comes amid a drought. Trump's been talking about this since he got elected. The fact that they're wasting all their water. They have no reservoirs. They don't collect water.
No water conservation program.
Yeah, it's stupid.
They're
They
the
waste.
same way with forest management. That's why they have the forest
Yeah,
fires
they're
that get
terrible.
out of hand. It's like California is the dumbest state in the nation in every respect.
And it stinks because they have the most beautiful land. Well, almost. I
And
don't.
practically,
Maybe not the most.
San
but
Diego, it's like
really beautiful
springtime
out there.
all year round.
Yeah, it's
I
incredible.
went out there for a business trip, and I'm talking to people, and they say it's like it's basically the same temperature all year round, and they were kind of like describing, because some of them didn't grow up in San Diego. And so they're saying how they're kind of adjusting and getting used to the way it is out there. And he said, well, like a few years ago, it was newsworthy that they had 8 straight weeks of rain. But what they meant by 8 straight weeks of rain, that was that for 8 weeks in a row, on at least one day that week, they had a brief shower. It's like, wow.
I remember it was 90 degrees here in Cincinnati, and I went to Orange County, and
so that's L.A., right?
I don't even know where Orange County is. I just know I was in Orange County, California, at the John Wayne Airport, and it was 70 degrees there. And the guys were telling me about the weather there. They're like, "Oh, it's this year all year round. It's like this." So I'm like, "Really?" And they said, "Yeah." They said, "You notice a couple other things? There's no birds."
Oh, no kidding.
What? There's no bird. I'm looking around. They're right.
Why?
I don't see a single bird. Would you kill them all or what? Sickos. They said because there's no bugs.
Oh.
There's no insects. Because there's no rain. I don't know why. But there's no insects.
No bugs to bother people.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be really awesome. Except...
we live in Cincinnati where it's like, sometimes the mosquitoes are so bad that you just don't want to go outside. And we don't even have it really bad. I mean, I'll bet Mississippi is worse than Ohio with mosquitoes.
Yeah. Well... I mean, I would like having no bugs, but honestly, I kind of like birds, so I'd miss birds.
Yeah. It's just different. It's beautiful land.
Okay, so Orange County is not quite Los Angeles. I thought it was Los Angeles for some. What county is Los Angeles in?
I have no idea.
But Anaheim is in Orange County.
Oh, okay. Anaheim is the setting of Scanner Darkly.
Okay.
Well, anyway, where were we here? The Peruvian. So the Peruvian government declares a state of emergency at a copper mine after a week of camping by indigenous people. So they've got a copper mine there in Peru, and the indigenous people are camping out, I guess in protest?
Is it protest or just because they need a place to stay?
It sounds like it's in protest because the government there suspended... I lost it. Suspends civil liberties, including the right of assembly and protest.
Oh. So we'll get together and protest by camping out in a copper mine. Copper must be like one of the main exports of this country.
Yeah.
Peru.
I keep trying to open these stories.
So why are the indigenous people the ones who are protesting? Is this like one of those where the people who care about it say, yeah, I care about it, but I don't want to give up my comfortable house. Let me go pay some, itinerant to
yeah.
Some indigenous person.
I wonder if this is kind of like you look at it and it looks pretty barren out there.
That'd be like American Indians going and protesting some policy of our government.
Yeah. The mine has battled against repeated protests and road blockades that have at times forced it to halt production. I don't know what their problem is with it. It does kind of tear up the land, but the land isn't. What else do you do with land like that?
Yeah, unless it's like beautiful.
It's not farmland.
You can, if you can't farm on it, and if it's not like good for developing houses and providing places for people to live, what are you going to do with it? Oh, well, let's mine it. There's stuff in the ground. Let's get it out.
Yeah, and then, okay, you can't live on there, but even if you were living on there, exactly what are you going to do if you don't have a way to bring in an income, how are you going to live there anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the point? I don't know. I don't know what the indigenous people, what kind of rights they have in comparison to the indigenous people of America. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
Like American Indians have reservations that they can go to, and we keep buying the reservations back and digging them up and then selling them back to them and things like that, but that's still going on. I think
we've been doing that since the founding of the country.
I know, it's stupid. Why Just join the country, and I think every reservation should be closed, sold, and all the money split up, not between the tribal chiefs.
Oh no, the families.
Between every member, all the members
the
of the tribe, and say, you are hereby American. You're not Native American anymore. You're American.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it.
But you
can have some of this land if you want, but here's money.
Here's the thing. I mean, on one level, it's like, okay, there's the whole, Christian missionary, that's a absolute. You've got to do that, convert them.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that really enjoys the sort of American Indian. What did you call it? Mystique or whatever?
Yeah, I know.
And I like watching movies that bring that into it and that kind of stuff.
I just don't know if there's a way to preserve that culture without practicing the culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That or
they're not. Not Christian.
Can you preserve the culture without real harm to the people? It's almost like you're preserving the culture by saying we're not going to let you take advantage of everything we have to offer.
Yeah,
it's like that.
And the problem is that when push comes to shove, it is impossible for Native Americans to live even close to the way that they used to live.
That's true.
It just can't happen.
That's true.
We have killed off most of the wildlife in comparison to what it used to be like. And they would not farm animals. They refused to raise animals as their own, other than horses. And I mean, we brought
even horses were introduced from Europe. They didn't have horses natively.
And so,
I think that's probably
as far as,
why they were willing
eating
to farm
animals.
horses.
They wouldn't do it.
Is because they weren't something that they knew natively.
They would not raise goats or cattle. They killed buffalo,
bison,
or
buffalo,
you shot
whatever.
deer.
Buffalo. Bison is something different than buffalo. I always get confused. But
no, it's bison are what we had.
Bison are what we have? So when we say the American buffalo, we're actually referring to bison.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Buffalo Bill was he shot bison, not buffaloes.
And the real buffalo, that's an African animal.
I think so. I can't remember.
Okay.
I think there are some in different, I think there are some in other countries.
I tell you,
the
buffalo that have been brought back. I mean, there's like herds of buffalo that brought back out in the Yellowstone area and that kind of stuff. They're kind of cool. I mean, they're ugly as all get out, as animals are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're kind of cool. It's weird because, I mean, they're big animals and they have they're so ugly. It sounds weird to say this, but they have these real gentle looking eyes.
Do they?
Yeah.
That's what I think
weird
about cows.
Cows are kind of like that too. Yeah. It's really weird.
If you go up there, they're like cartoonishly pretty.
Yeah. But like
the eyes of cattle with the giant lashes that come out.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's like these buffalo. I've
never been close to a buffalo. I have no idea.
Oh gosh, you got to go out. We got to do that as a instead of the Red River Gorge some year. We got to go out there. But we were talking like the guide because Terry and I did a tour out there was talking to us. He said, and there's they'll cross the road, and when a herd's crossing the road, you just got to stop and wait. And they said, there's one time when a car that was kind of near at the front of the line, basically, kind of beeped, hoping that it would cause them to separate long enough for him to get through. The buffalo just kind of stopped and kind of turned and just kind of gouged into the car with its horn and tore the front of the car up or something.
Probably didn't even try to do it.
I know. It was just kind of like, oh, what's that?
Knock it off.
Exactly.
Hold your horses.
Because they are big animals.
Yeah. Georgia becomes the 9th U.S. state to ban the teaching of critical race theory in schools.
9 of 50. Got a ways to go, but okay.
We'll keep going. So Putin accepts an invitation to the G20 summit. It's going to be in Bali, Indonesia this year. Zelensky was also invited, but we don't know if he's going.
Oh, okay. That'll be interesting. Because, what if Putin goes and Zelensky doesn't? Is that going to...
Then Zelensky's going to look like a wimp.
Yeah. I mean, because everybody's accusing Putin of being this big aggressor, and they're kind of lionizing Zelensky just by dint of being attacked by Putin.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. When is that? That's... Once again, we don't... It doesn't tell me. I'm not even going to look it up. It's so weird
how little news the news articles have.
Right. Tornado strikes in Andover, Kansas, with heavy damage, and this part of the same weather system. I don't know. I guess it wasn't part of the tornado, but in the same weather system, 3 storm chasers are killed in a car accident.
Oh wow!
Because of they're calling it aquaplaning. I always call it hydroplaning.
Yeah, we call it hydroplaning here. I guess it's whether you're Greek or Latin. Aquaplaning would be the Latin word. Hydroplaning, the Greek word.
Okay. Well, anyway, 3 guys died because their car was hydroplaning, and I guess it crashed into something.
Oh, man. You'd think storm chasers would have tires that would be really, really good against that.
You'd think so. But I think, it's like anyone who suddenly decides, I want to get a better view of that storm, is now a storm chaser.
Oh.
And so it's like...
Amateur storm
couple
chasers.
Hill jacks in a car driving around. Hey, let's go over there, and then
they've got bald tires
too
and
fast.
Stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna read you I'm just gonna read it. This is funky.
Okay.
A tricycle falls into a man-made channel in Ete, Egypt. 8 children die and 4 people are rescued.
Okay, hold on. Stop. A tricycle falls into a man-made what?
Channel.
Okay, like a ditch.
I guess
like
kind
a
of
canal.
like a... Yeah.
8 people die?
8 children killed.
A tricycle?
Why were 8 children on a tricycle?
Was this were they stacked on top of each other? Was this like some kind of circus act? A tricycle?
I don't know. It's so weird. I'm looking at it. A 3-wheeled vehicle was carrying at least 13 people when it overturned and sank in the channel early Sunday. How does a 3-wheeled vehicle carry 13 people? I don't think they... Okay, now I can see maybe they're talking about some kind of motorized vehicle. But what kind of motorized vehicle has only 3 wheels but will carry 13 people? That makes no sense.
Okay, hold on. Was it maybe that it was one of those 3-wheeled, dirt runners, whatever, but it was...
And there were a bunch of people?
No, it was towing a cart that had additional people on it.
That might be possible. This is in the Niles Delta.
So, I mean, this could be like a standard way of transport, almost like a taxi cab.
Yeah, could be.
Or a bus.
I don't
know. A version
know.
of a bus.
It's still done. Why were they all kids?
That's the other. It's were they just, is this how
4 people were rescued out of it.
You know how some people will, you have your tractor, your lawn tractor, and then it has a cart in the back. Okay, all the kiddies, you can pile in the cart and you go and give the kids a ride. Maybe it was that kind of a thing.
It's just weird. And I followed the story. I can't really find too much more information.
Wow. Okay. I mean, tragedy.
That's
okay,
weird.
Guys. I mean, we're focusing on the weirdness of how it says 8 children.
Yeah.
This is tragic.
It's tragic. So, a small meteor traveling at 55,000 miles per hour explodes above western Mississippi.
Oh, yeah. I read about that.
Causing several sonic booms. I don't understand why are they saying it caused sonic booms?
I
would think, that can't be right.
Well, okay, when it exploded, here's the thing. I don't know because I only saw reports of one fireball.
Okay.
But if it actually exploded into multiple fireballs, each one, like when the explosion happened, if it's traveling like in multiple directions, each one could cause its own sonic boom. So that's one thought.
No.
Okay.
It's going 55,000 miles per hour. Even if one exploded behind it, it's not going to slow down 55,000 miles per hour. Even if it pushes the piece of it in the opposite direction. I don't think so.
55. It's caused sonic booms. 55,000 miles per hour.
I think this newscaster just didn't do their homework.
I think so too, because the speed of sound, the point at which you cause a sonic boom is when you go past, like from subsonic into supersonic, and the speed of sound is only 767 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And you're talking about 55,000 miles per hour.
So at no point was there a piece of that meteor that went from slower than the speed of sound to the speed of sound.
Yeah. So I think this
was
meteor was
booms.
like Mach 72.
Yeah.
But I did read about that, and it was like seen across like several states. The fireball was seen.
That would be cool. I wish I could see that. I also wish I could go afterwards and search.
For the
for
it
pieces.
may not have reached Earth. I mean, it may it might have completely burned up. There was a
lot of them things like the size of peas. You can usually find them after something like that.
Oh, okay. There was a fireball that I saw. I was living in North Vernon at the time, and I was on my way out. I was driving Lauer somewhere, and just as I was like kind of reaching the top of my street, I saw it was like a green, huge fireball. I mean, think of like what we've seen as meteor trails.
Yeah.
Except huge. It looked like the size of a football, like streaking across the sky. And towards the end, it kind of broke off into two pieces, but then it eventually faded out. And it was going in terms of the angular speed. It probably took about 10 seconds, maybe not that long, maybe like 6 seconds.
Wow.
To get from the one end of the sky to the other, to where it faded out. It didn't go like past the horizon. It just faded out.
Yeah.
And I went and looked at it.
I saw one that kind of came straight down.
Oh wow!
I could see it for about 3 or 4 seconds. It split into two, and then those split into one or two or more. Me and Ronnie saw it together.
That's cool.
It's always things like that. It's like, man, if I only had a video camera at that time, it'd have been so cool to get that on video.
But I mean, I was reading that, and from what I gathered, like what I saw, even though it looked huge to me, that could have been caused by like a piece of rock, like the size of a pea or a grain of rice or something like that.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's all the news I got.
All right. Well, I got a little bit of news.
Okay.
Right. You know what? I didn't email you. Hold on just a minute. Let me email you because at gmail.com.
Thank you.
Oops, I just told everybody your email address.
I'm going to erase that.
First, you remember the one that we did with when Meatloaf died and let's see, one of the grills sent out some kind of recipe. Barbecue meatloaf or something like that. Well, that was already set to go out. Okay, that was completely forgivable. Well, so there's I don't know what to call her. So somebody named Kate Spade, who I don't really know who that is.
Like a purse lady, I thought. I don't know.
A purse lady, maybe. I don't know. But back in 2018, so this is 4 years ago plus. 4 years ago, maybe. She killed herself by hanging herself. So this company, Ultra Beauty, sent out a bunch of emails to promote a perfume that you know, how they'll name these different, like, lines of perfumes and makeups and that kind of stuff after somebody famous or whatever. So perfume line that was, I guess, named for Kate Spade, and the message read, "Come hang with Kate Spade." She hanged herself.
Oh, man.
Obviously, they're trying to figure out how to unroll that backlash. Next. Did you say you're getting coffee? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm drinking beer tonight. Normally, I would not on a weeknight.
I thought you were talking a lot.
This whole row Dobbs thing has me so excited.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, wow. Okay. So, a thief stole a yard sign that was I guess the yard sign was a large A sign cheering the University of Alabama. And their getaway car was a lawnmower, one of those yard lawnmowers.
Just like a riding mower? That was their ghetto? And
like a riding mower, yeah, like your Troy built riding mower, or your Troy
but why
riding
did
mower,
they?
or
who would steal
Troy
a
built
sign?
or Toro or whatever? Huh?
Wait a minute.
Why did
they stole?
I don't know.
A
the police department
off of a sign.
They stole that sign.
Just the A, I think.
And was it just the yeah? And they drove away in a riding mower. And the police department is asking people to help identify.
It doesn't look hard. I mean, there's a picture of her.
It's like, I know there's a picture of her.
She's got a mask on.
I mean, what? Well, that must be it. He got the mask.
I know, but you could, if you saw this girl anywhere, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's her.
Oh yeah, that's her. Anybody who knows this person knows that this is the picture of her.
But she's like driving away from the scene of the crime
like,
on a lawnmower, pulling a trailer with an A in the back of it.
With a big A in it. This is like one of those comedy movies.
But I just can't imagine. Was this person angry at... What is this? University of Alabama. So...
Was this like one of those prank things where,
but I don't think this is a college girl. She doesn't look like a college girl.
No, she looks a little bit older than that.
Like a local angry parent who's tired of all the drunkards.
I don't know.
We have identified her. Warrant signed. Do you know them? Please share. It doesn't seem like they should have that much trouble locating this girl.
Oh my. Help us get our victim's stuff back. What's funny is that stuff help us get our victim's stuff back, but stuff is in quotes.
Yeah, stuff back. This is so bizarre.
It's like, what
is this the Facebook page of the Alabama police? Police of Flowmation.
Police department. I thought it was the police Facebook page. Flomaton Police. Flomaton.
Oh, wait a minute. The lawnmower.
F-L-O-M-A-T-O-N.
Okay, here's the thing. All the stuff is stolen. The lawnmower's stolen. The trailer's stolen. The items in the trailer, including the A, is stolen. Identity needed.
So everything is stolen.
Hey, I think this person's great.
The whole kit and caboodle is stolen.
We should have a shrine to this woman.
You know, I'm going to have to keep my eye on this one.
I'm not sure, but I think her arms got tattoos on them. It looks like it in the picture.
Yeah, I know. It looks like you could probably have some identifying remarks. And the thing is, she was going slow enough that somebody was filming her.
People were walking by.
Oh, hey, look, she's stealing stuff. Let me get my camera out and take a picture.
Apple bottom jeans. This is just bizarre. Everything here was stolen. And she's somehow not caught yet.
And people photographed her, but nobody bothered to, stop her. And it's just a freaking lawnmower.
You can imagine.
You could just walk. You could walk alongside it and follow her.
Someone
home.
calling the police. I'm with her right now. She's on a lawn. I swear you can get here if you hurry. Come arrest her.
That's the thing.
She stole the A. And the
lawnmower.
She probably stole that mask.
Why didn't the police show up?
I bet she stole that shirt, too.
That's pretty stole her clothes.
She was naked when she started.
This is the new version of Lady Godiva.
Yeah. That's something else. Okay.
All right. Well, that's weird.
That's a real weird one.
All right. Let's see. Next. Hey, this is kind of interesting. So, anybody who has liked, as I have, The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy Gale's dress has been. I guess it was missing for a long time.
Well, then how?
But somebody recovered it.
How would they prove it then? How do we know that?
I don't know. The blue checkered dress. How do you know that it's the real one?
Yeah.
But apparently it's been discovered, and it's up for auction.
I wonder how much that's going to go for.
But somebody could watch that movie and produce a dress exactly like it.
Certainly.
There's
got to be some
know.
kind of
it's
DNA evidence that this is hers. Like hair on the. I don't know. How would you do it?
It says one of the versions that she wore, Judy Garland is the actress, of course, was assumed lost at Catholic University of America. That's in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
It had been given to someone in the drama department in the early 70s, but clearing out some office clutter last year, they found the dress in an old shoebox.
Oh, I know.
So now they're selling
that lady with the lawnmower stole it for all these years. And they finally found
that's
it.
What it was.
That's why they were so interested in this woman with the lawnmower stealing.
Because she had the shoebox with the dress in it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it says the dress had initially been given to Father Gilbert Hartke, who was then head of the university's drama department in 1973, by actress Mercedes McCambridge. It's not clear how she came to have it, McCambridge.
Maybe she was
kind of interesting. I liked the movie The Wizard of Oz. I still like the movie The Wizard of Oz. So
I saw it on the big screen.
For me. Really? In a theater?
One of the first dates that Vicky and I went on, in Western Hills Theater, they used to have matinees, and they would show old movies like Wizard of Oz, and we went and saw Wizard of Oz.
Oh, wow. Did
you
cool.
ever do...
That's a movie that's made for the
Dark Side of Oz? No, that's not what it's called.
No, I've not seen The Dark Side of Oz.
Is that what you call it? The Dark Side of Oz? I can't remember now.
I don't know what you're talking
about. You start by drinking a lot or smoking a lot or something like that. And then you start the Dark Side of the Moon album by Pink Floyd on at a certain point of Wizard of Oz. And you got to start it at the right spot.
Oh.
And then you turn down the Wizard of Oz and watch.
Is this something you discovered when we had that old VCR that you could do the audio dub?
No, this is something I discovered during my party years that,
But we totally could do that with that old audio.
Yeah, we did
DVD,
all kinds of weird
VHS.
things like messing with the soundtracks and stuff like that. That was fun. Dan always had weird stuff at our house that nobody else had.
Well, when I told my son about that, he was so fascinated by that very concept.
Really?
He went out and actually found on eBay various versions of VHS recorders that could do that. VCRs that could do that, and he's got
I tell my kids things are like that, and they're like, "So what? It's called Adobe Premiere or whatever." It's like they don't care because that stuff is so easy nowadays.
They don't get it. Come on, you don't get it. How cool
back then it was really cool that we could do this, and we would make people sit and watch it, and they'll be like, "All right, dude, I just don't care." It was our little creation.
Well, the fact that you went on that date to see the Wizard of Oz. It has me kind of jealous. Back, I forget what year it was, but it was the 35th anniversary of the original release of the first Ghostbusters. You're going to think that I'm so stupid, even more so than you already do for this. I actually bought the tickets online because my wife said she had never seen Ghostbusters.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, you've got to see it in the theater. Okay? That's part of the thing. So they had it at one of these theaters. I bought the tickets, and the day came, I forgot to go. I forgot to take her and go to the movies with her and see that movie. Oh, man.
Here's the thing.
I still am so angry with myself for that.
I hate going to the movies. I despise movies.
I love going to the movies.
I would do anything to get out of going to the movie. But when you're on a date,
okay, well, next time you want
matter,
If you have to take your wife on a date to the movies, let me go as your surrogate. I'll go to the movie part, and then I'll hand your wife back off.
I don't think she likes movies
I love going to movies.
We were both on a date. We didn't know that the other person hated movies.
So just both of you had to pretend to like it.
The gift of the Magi,
That's right, yeah.
So we both acted like we liked it, and oh well. But we've been to 3 movies our entire life together. We won free tickets to the Star Wars when they brought. It wasn't Star Wars. It was The Empire Strikes Back, and you remember when they re-released it with the special effects and stuff right before they came out with the 3 new ones. So we went and saw that. And then we saw Wizard of Oz, and then we saw Mel Gibson's movie, The Passion of Christ. And we're walking out of there, and I don't know. I'm just one of these people that when I see something that's supposed to be deep, and it doesn't hit me. I think about things, and later, gain introspective.
I'm that way too.
It doesn't hit me right off the dot. So we're walking out of the theater, and I'm just talking away, and I'm talking about either aspects of the movie or whatever. And finally, Vicky turns to me. She's like, "Will you keep your voice down?" And I look around. I'm the only one talking
because everybody's looking at you.
Everybody's crying.
Like, how can you talk after that?
Most people have tears in their eyes, and I'm just walking around
chatting along.
Yeah, like it's no big deal.
It's like, have you ever seen The Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen?
I think I saw part of it. I don't remember.
Okay, there's one like he meets the girl, and they're like going on their different dates, and they're playing the background song from that group, what is it, the Hermits or something like that. Something tells me I'm into something good. Anyway, and they're like showing them coming out of a movie theater, like kind of laughing and leaning on each other and all happy and gleeful and stuff. And as they walk, the camera pans back and you see the movie that they showed was like Platoon or one of those like war horror movies.
It's like the Seinfeld when...
So your description kind of reminded me of that.
The Seinfeld when he and his girlfriend couldn't get time together because their parents were staying with them. So they ended up going to Schindler's List. And they made out in the middle of Schindler's List.
In the middle of the movie.
And their parents heard about it and got mad at them.
So does Seinfeld, is he like Jewish in the show? Because Seinfeld's a Jewish name, isn't it?
His parents are Jewish, I guess. And so
okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, that's it's like that.
That's what it was like.
Okay, anyway. Well, this last one is it's just kind of interesting. So these Americans went to Israel, and I guess they went into the Golan Heights area, and they found a unexploded, what's being reported by all the news as a unexploded shell, an unexploded artillery shell. Now, I reached out to our brother Jason to find out if this is really a shell, which would mean that it has explosives inside like a bomb versus is it just basically a bullet, a large one, a slug?
It looks more like a
based
bullet.
on the scale.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It looks just like a bullet to me. It doesn't look like an
It
actual
looks like
shell.
a large bullet.
But it looked based on the scale, because it shows somebody's finger there in the picture. It's maybe about 6 inches long and 1.5 to 2 inches
maybe
thick.
a foot. I don't know.
It doesn't look like a
Okay.
foot long. That looks too long.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway,
Okay. Yeah, it does look like a bullet. It doesn't look like a shell that would explode. It looks like something that would land. Did I lose you?
so just for a minute, I my phone fell on the floor and my earphones unplugged. So, but anyway, so these Americans found this thing and they walked through the airport with it. Now, why they didn't put it in their checked luggage, I don't know. But the thing is, they walked into the airport. Apparently, walking into the airport, everybody was like running and for
panicking.
cover and stuff like that. Now,
Gonna shoot us.
here's the thing: if you saw somebody like carrying something like this, it's like let's say you're next in line behind them, and they pass it through the thing, and maybe they put it on the conveyor or something. I mean, you see that, you're seeing the picture of it.
It just looks like a.
Is that gonna concern you even a little
not
bit?
At all. I'm gonna be like, no, this thing got.
Yeah, hey, that's cool. Where'd you
Wow.
get that? Yeah, exactly. But apparently it sent a lot of people running and scrambling. The Israeli authorities kept the item.
Jerks.
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But let the people go, because there obviously wasn't any kind of intent. They just thought they'd found a cool souvenir.
Awesome. I would love that.
So, anyway, it's
Israelis
unfortunate
are weird.
that they were not be able to bring it home with them. But you know what? The thing is,
But they get a good story
I have
out
to
of
say,
it.
here's the thing. So they kept it. But, I think that the officials in other airports, and I can't even say that this isn't true of American airports. I think that sometimes maybe they're a little bit corrupt. And so this kind of cool souvenir, it might not be, we have to keep this and confiscate it because it's unexploded artillery. It might be, wow, that's really cool. Let me confiscate
I think that's
it.
exactly what it is. The TSA, they basically hired like the bottom of the people. I mean, they're thugs.
And you got to think it's that way in other countries.
They're not
too.
even good enough to be cops. Put it that way. They couldn't.
Yeah,
As a matter of fact,
exactly.
they were out of work
couldn't pass
security
police
guards.
academy.
They couldn't even be security guards, and we hired them to protect us on the air in the airplanes. It's idiotic. The whole thing is so
We
stupid.
would have been better off just leaving it wide open and not worrying
Yeah, air
about it.
travel is such a joke.
My son that I adopted from Russia, we brought into the United States. He was 12 at the time, and he had this backpack that he liked to carry. But here's the thing. We never saw it again once we got to the United States.
Confiscated it.
Well, I'm sure some Russian, some Russian luggage inspector looked at it and said, wow, hey, my kid would like this, and took it.
Okay.
Because what are you going to do?
My wife told me that to be an airport security guard, they have to be an air marshal for at least 2 years.
I doubt that.
Maybe that's the case now. But after 9/11...
What do you mean by security? Like the people that are at the security gates that look over your
I guess
luggage?
so.
Or much less the ones that are working in the back that don't even look at your luggage where you can see, but look at the luggage that you checked that go into the hull? I don't think they have to be air marshals.
Maybe there's a rule now that they do, but right after 9/11, they would hire anyone at airport security. I remember, because I was going to get a job.
I bet you have to work
security before you
can
be
TSA a couple of years.
Air marshal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. That makes more sense.
Maybe I'll look it up and try to find out by the next
But
week.
your wife worked for Delta.
Yeah.
I mean, she has some knowledge of that stuff.
I don't know.
So
We'll find
anyway,
out.
So these American, they had a really cool. I got to admit that is a really cool souvenir. Too bad they couldn't bring it home with them.
Well, they got a good story out of it, though.
That's right. They do have a good story out of it. Anyway,
all right.
That's all the news I got.
That's all the news we got time for.
Okay.
I don't have a saint. Did you?
If you want to do a saint, I can talk about Saint Philomena.
Saint Philomena. Okay. Let's talk about Saint Philomena. All right.
Okay. So Saint Philomena is a interesting saint in that not a whole lot is known about her life, and I think she's one of the few saints, maybe the only saint, where everything that's known about her life is known from, like, private revelations, like her appearing to people and telling them her life. She was discovered in a. She only became known after she had died. She was discovered in a tomb. It was uncovered in 1802 in the catacomb of Priscilla. The tomb had like 3 stones that were misarranged, and apparently this was like a common thing back then to take the last stone and put it first or something like that. But once they were arranged in the right order, the inscription said "Pax tecum Philomena," which is "Peace be with you, Philomena." In the tomb was also a vial of blood, presumably her blood, which was common with martyrs.
So what would the vial be made of?
The vial itself might be glass or something like that.
Okay.
They had glass back then. But what's interesting about her blood is that it's all dried out. It's just like black flakes by that time.
Yeah.
Because this is a early, I think first, like second or third century or something like that. Anyway, when they were subjected to sunlight, they would turn like a glittering gold or silver and shine with various colors and stuff, which was unusual for blood, even the blood that they would find among martyrs' graves. So they took her to be not only a martyr, but a possibly perhaps powerful martyr in terms of her, potential intercession with God. Soon after finding her tomb, her cult began to spread, and many miracles were granted through her intercession. I don't have any specific direct stories of those miracles. Anyway, after miracles started to be granted, she appeared to a Sister Maria Luisa de Gesù, a Neapolitan nun. Neapolitan, I think, is like northern Italy. And St. Philomena appeared in a vision in 1833 and kind of gave her life story. And so from that vision, we find out that she was the daughter of a Greek king who converted to Christianity through a doctor from Rome named Plubius. Philomena's parents were childless, and when they converted from their pagan idolatry, they had a child that was Philomena. They named her Lumina, which meant light, reference to the light of faith through which they believed, the gift of a child had been granted to her. And on her baptism, they gave her the name Philumina, which meant daughter of light. Phi is a Latin word for daughter.
Okay.
At the age of 13, Philumena made a vow of consecrated virginity. So she decided at that early age that she was not going to be married and have children. She was going to be a virgin for Christ. Her father traveled to Rome this is during the Diocletian persecution, to implore Diocletian, the emperor, about certain threats made to the small Greek state where her father lived. And when he saw Philomena, he was kind of struck with her and stricken, I guess, with her. He decided he wanted to marry her. He told her father that the Greek state would have peace. All that was needed was that Philomena would be his wife. And Philomena told her parents that she could not consent to it because of her vow of consecrated virginity. Yeah. And her parents didn't agree with her. They thought, no, you need to go marry the emperor. Who cares about your vow? And so forth. They would even say words like, well, you were young back then, too young to make a vow like that. You can't be held to that. And he threatened terrible things against her if she didn't do what he said. And eventually, God's grace prevailed. She remained strong. She didn't give in. And because she wouldn't, recant her vow, her father tried to get the emperor to relent his, insistence that she be his wife. The emperor wouldn't resist either, or wouldn't relent either. So eventually the father, following the emperor's command, brought her to the imperial chamber. So now, obviously, while she's on her way up there with her father, he's renewing his own anger towards her and everything because of her stance. Her mother also joined herself with her father, trying to overcome her resolution. And they would go back and forth between, being sweet to her and being mean to her, everything to try to get her to comply. Even appealing to, hey, you've got to think about your country. You've got to think about our country. You've got to think about our subjects, the citizens of our city, and so on and so forth. She, Philomena, answered, no, my virginity, which I have vowed to God, comes before everything, before you, before my country. My kingdom is in heaven. Finally, her parents brought her to Diocletian, and since he couldn't get the emperor to relent, and Diocletian could not persuade her, he put her in prison. For 37 days, he subjected her to various tortures, each more painful than the previous. On the 37th day, Mary and Jesus together appeared to Philomena and told her that after 3 days more, which would be 40 days in all, she would leave this state of pain. During that vision, Mary assured Philomena that Gabriel himself, Mary's own angel, remember Gabriel's the one who announced to Mary that she would be the mother of God, would come to Philomena's aid in the coming days. Philomena was scourged at the order of Diocletian to mimic the scourging of Christ. He said that since she preferred Christ as a spouse, she should be scourged like her spouse. Wow. And during this scourging, we see this in so many of the other saints, how like divine intervention, it's like we're going to intervene to prevent you from being able to
die.
To escape your pain. Yeah. Well, she was not permitted to lose consciousness during this scourging. People when they are scourged, the pain is so bad from being whipped that often they will lose consciousness. And then it's like, well, okay, the rest of the scourges, it's like you just keep scourging them so that when they wake up, they'll have to go through that much more pain during their healing and stuff. Well, she was not permitted to lose consciousness. But that night, back in the prison cell, 2 angels appeared and healed her scourge wounds with what she referred to as a soothing balm. Diocletian was surprised at her recovery, but he attempted to convince her that it was because he sent Jupiter, the Roman god, to heal her, which obviously is stupid. When he couldn't persuade her, he ordered that an anchor be tied to her neck, and she was thrown into the Tiber. 2 angels came, perhaps the same 2 from the previous night, and unfastened the chain and carried her to the shore. Many of those who were pagans saw this and converted to Christianity. After that, Diocletian attempted to credit her survival to secret magic and had her dragged through the streets and shot with arrows. Again, during this ordeal, she was not permitted to faint. And when it was over, he ordered the guards to carry her back to the dungeon. During this transport, finally, with the ordeal being over, she was granted the gift of a deep sleep. And when she woke, she was completely healed again. Again! Come on.
How many times do I gotta be martyred?
Exactly. Okay, the next morning, Diocletian was obviously angered, and he commanded his guards to shoot her through with arrows again. Here, this was interesting. The guards were not able to hit their target. Diocletian thought she must have been using magic, So he ordered the arrows to be made in a furnace. I guess there was a belief back then that you could overcome magic by heating something up real hot, thinking that the fire would destroy the magic.
Okay.
And so he told the archers to aim for her heart. I guess there were like a number of archers all, like a firing range. You got a bunch of people all together, so you don't know which bullet actually killed the person. Well, all the arrows that were shot at her turned around, seemingly of their own accord, back towards the ones who shot them. 6 of them were killed. And others of the archers, along with several of those who were just observing, converted to Christ because of that. Finally, Diocletian ordered her to be beheaded. And of course, that's the end. I wonder, is there any saint who was cured from a beheading? I don't think there was.
No, I don't think so.
I think that's usually the final step. Anyway, so she is today, as far as I can tell, she's the only saint whose canonization is based entirely on the miracles that were attributed to her, because her life is known only through a private revelation. She's the patron saint of infants and babies and youth, often depicted in her youth with a flower crown, a palm of I guess the palm branch implies martyrdom, and arrows or an anchor. Sometimes both arrows and an anchor, because of the things that she was forced to undergo. Now, I'm going to give a personal story about Philomena. So, first, my daughter's name is Philomena. And when we moved to Michigan, there was a local parish Catholic school. The parish was Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit Parish. And they had a school that they were trying to get going. And they had reached the point where they had, 74 students. Now, they had been praying very hard, and they decided to adopt Saint Philomena as their patroness. And particularly, they had made a sort of decision that if they could reach 75 students by this particular time, then they would take that as a sign that God wanted them to keep moving forward and they would keep building this school. Well, my 2 children, Charlie and Philomena, were student numbers 74 and 75.
Oh, that's
They
something.
had been praying to Saint Philomena for their 75th student, and it was a Philomena.
And how many Philomenas do you know?
I
only
don't know
one.
any Philomenas. The only additional Philomena I know is somebody who worked at Harmon, who is from India. Philomena is actually a fairly common name in India, among Indian Catholics in India. She eventually went to Mercy High School, which was supposed to be a Catholic high school that wasn't really Catholic. But this school, that was an amazing story. You know what? That's a good question.
Oh, well.
I don't see the school, though.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's still a good story. All right.
It's still a good story.
We've got one more person to add to our list of pro-lifers in Cincinnati that was handed to me. Tom Lanter. Do you know him?
Tom Lanter.
Apparently he was a former math teacher, but he's got really bad arthritis. But he goes to the Helpers Mass every week. And he goes, whenever we need pro-life signs to be put up, he goes everywhere.
He goes to local businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think I have been aware of Tom Lanter. No,
okay.
I haven't heard that name before.
There's a honorable mention there of Tom Lanter, and thank him for all of his work with the pro-life community. But I think that's all we got.
Okay.
I think we're ready to say goodnight.
That's all I've got. 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't think it would be that long a podcast.
Yeah, I didn't either. But once you start drinking, Danny, you never stop talking.
You can cut some stuff out.
Make some rules.
I have no idea if I'm saying stuff that is and you're thinking back, what are you talking about? So feel free to cut stuff out.
You have no idea. I cut out half of your stuff. If you're drinking. It's only if you're drinking. It's like, all right.
Well, I am raising a glass tonight.
You know that
because of the whole.
You watched the Monk series, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's one of my favorites.
There's that neighbor of his who ended up dying, which I wish he hadn't died.
Yeah. The guy upstairs.
He would just start talking about something, and he'd be like, well, actually,
off into a
that was my third place that I lived. The first two places that I lived were this and that. Things like that, and I'm like, all right, I can cut this out. I can cut this out.
Is that what I do?
Yeah, when you're drinking. Oh, well. The audience doesn't know that.
You know what? You ought to produce one. It's like maybe produce them in pairs. Okay, here's the normal one, and here's the uncut.
It's like 6 hours long.
And see what our listeners prefer.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, think about what we said, and as always.
Circle the beads, everyone. Especially now, we are so close.
Yeah, we're really close. Keep praying.
All right, bye, everyone.
Baby, I got this morning. Rising.